think volunteering is so important, especially if you're retired, because I think you need a purpose in life. It keeps you young and sharp and makes a big difference in my life.
I walk into the classroom, and every kid in that classroom knows I'm Mr. Marty. And they all smile and say hello to me. I wave at them in the halls, and I'm Mr. Marty.
Once we reach retirement age, we have a lot of experience that we can pass on to these kids, because some of them have no role models in their family.
Working with AARP Foundation Experience Corps has been a very rewarding experience as far as making additional friends. I consider my team here all to be my friends.
You'll be surprised how much kids are watching and listening to you, and this is what motivates them. They'll come back and tell you later on, I listened to you, and that inspired me to do more.
As a young person, I heard John F. Kennedy's inaugural speech, and that quote about ask not what your country can do for you, but what you can do for your country. I think it really affected me. I mean, I was a child of the 60s, and that was just what you did. You tried to give back, and that's what I've done my whole life.
Hope you all had an opportunity to get a little understanding from the video of AARP Foundation Experience Corps, and to bring it to a day-to-day requirement and understanding. We're being joined today by Tony Taylor, who is the branch director. Tony, how are you today?
Doing great. It's great to be here.
Great. So can you share a little bit about the background of Experience Corps, how you all have chosen, how you're serving in the community, and a little data and how this intergenerational relationship is working?
Sure, absolutely. So AARP Foundation Experience Corps is a community-based volunteer program that connects older adults who are 50 years and older as tutors with students to help them become better readers by the end of third grade. And as I think you stated earlier, we do operate nationwide. We represent the DC branch, DC Metro. We have another location. The foundation operates in Baltimore, in Philly, and Chicago. So what makes us unique? What makes us unique is our extensive training. We offer over 20 hours of annual training, which includes 16 hours of pre-service training. And the rationale for that is to ensure that our volunteers are fully prepared before they enter the classroom. We want to make sure that when they go into the classroom, they have all of the skills and the knowledge to be successful, to actually experience real gains for our students. The second item I would add as being a unique piece of our program is our data and our effectiveness. 70% of our students improve their reading skills by the end of the year, and almost half of our students improve their reading level by a full grade level. And lastly, we have some of the most committed and consistent volunteers, I think, in the city. Our volunteers serve an average of 5 years in the program, which is unheard of. Again, on average, in a given year, 80% of our tutors return to serve another year. So 8 out of 10 volunteers come back to serve one more year, and then they come back again 4 times or 3 times. So, I think we have a great climate culture here. I think the work we're doing here is so relevant and so impactful for the volunteer that they keep coming back to serve the students in their communities that they're in.
Wow, that is very impressive. So we're also being joined today by Denise Fraction, and you can understand the importance of her job as the volunteer recruitment specialist after hearing Mr. Taylor say the importance of volunteers. So good morning, good afternoon, Ms. Fraction. How are you today?
I'm fine, Ms. Slayton. Good morning and good afternoon to you as well.
So can you share a little bit about your efforts as the volunteer recruitment specialist and how that is very important right now to make this program successful?
Absolutely. I thank you again for having us on today. It's so important that we get the word out about Experience Corps, because our program is basically our volunteers. It's so frustrating to see all of the issues that our young people are facing today, and even adults that are struggling with finding employment and just getting by. And we know that our volunteers are making an impact by helping young students to grow up to be successful adults. And so that's why I take my job very seriously, because I know that with each volunteer that we recruit, that means that they're able to serve 7, 8, maybe 10 students in a year and help them to become better leaders.
That is very impressive. The stability that I hear you and Mr. Taylor speak of is very important. And we are joined today by a volunteer, Miss Renee Douglas Clemens, who is currently at Van Ness Elementary School. Is that correct?
Yes.
And how long have you been volunteering, Miss Clemens?
This is my 7th year volunteering with Experience Corps, and it is a wonderful opportunity for me to share what I know and how I feel about helping others with the children.
And can you share a little bit of that? 7 years, that is commendable. Sometimes a person will volunteer 1 year, but they keep coming back, and that goes to the 70% retention rate that Mr. Taylor spoke of. And I'm sure that is one thing that's in our community that children don't have, is the stability. And so your coming back now 7 years has really made a difference. Can you share, how did the training go? What keeps you coming back? What is making a difference?
I began helping in the schools, and my friend introduced me to Experience Corps and the program. We come back because we see the difference that we're making in our children. This gives us an opportunity to help our children and to help ourselves as well. It's an opportunity for us to keep our minds stimulated and to be there to listen to our children read every day and become fluent leaders and fluent readers, and to watch them grow. And when we see them on the streets, they greet us with such joy and such a great success in knowing that we've helped them, but they've also helped us. It gives us an opportunity to help our children become more fluent readers. It gives us an opportunity to stimulate our brains and to give us opportunities to do something positive in our community.
7 years. Wow, that is really making a difference. And the children are making a difference in your life, as well as it seems that peer-to-peer relationship. You're saying that your girlfriend invited you to come and to volunteer. And we're hoping that as people hear this information today, that more will come to volunteer. And so, Ms. Fraction, can you share a little bit with us about how this process of becoming a volunteer really works, and the time frame and everything that goes with that?
Absolutely. Thank you, Ms. Slayton. So yes, our volunteers are the meat to our program, honestly. And so it's so important that we have volunteers that understand what the ask is and that are fully committed to our program. So we're looking for volunteers that are 50 years of age or over. We do require that volunteers have a GED or a high school diploma. And we're also asking that our volunteers are willing to undergo background checks. Of course, when you work with students, it's important that we make sure that we are in compliance with the school system. So that definitely is a requirement. The other thing is that we ask our volunteers, require that volunteers commit to a full year of service. That's the school year. So that's starting in September through June of the following year. And then finally, we ask that our volunteers are willing to commit to 5 hours at least a school or a week. And so that usually works out to 2 days a week, 2.5 hours. Usually volunteers serve either a Monday and a Wednesday or a Tuesday and a Thursday. You can certainly serve more time than that if you would like, but that is the minimum requirement. Volunteers do go through an interview. That's part of our screening process. And then they are required to attend our training. And what we've heard over and over is that our volunteers are so appreciative of that training because that's what really prepares them and makes them confident to work with the students that we serve. If you are interested in getting more information about the program or you want to ask more specific questions, I also hold ongoing information sessions. Those are hour-long sessions that are offered virtually. And during that time, again, I give an overview of the program, but really we get a little bit more in depth into any questions that folks may have about CERT.
Wow, that is a very detailed process to become a volunteer. And it was great to hear that you required the background check and you all incur that cost for the
Yes, we
background
do.
check.
Yes, we do. So you
That
don't have
is
to.
that is that is great. Now, and you were mentioning about the training and all that is taking place. We are still coming to an end of a pandemic with COVID. How did you all pivot or work through that process with COVID going on?
Sure. Yeah, so that's a good question. We, like any organization that provided any direct service to schools, had to pivot in order to continue to operate. We were fortunate that we have resources from the foundation that allowed us to purchase the technology such as Chromebooks, computers, mobile hotspots for some of our volunteers, so we can continue tutoring students remotely. And our partners, many of our partners from previous school years took with us for this during this pandemic year. So we were able to continue to support classrooms. We also have, again, as I stated earlier, a really amazing group of volunteers who were willing and able to stay with us. So they were receiving all of their training over the web, all their prepping over the web, everything online except for the background checks, obviously. But other than that, our volunteers stepped up and learned how to use Zoom, learned how to use Microsoft Teams, learned how to use the new Chromebooks, became comfortable using this technology to tutor with students online, going to trainings online, all of that. And we have had what I would call a pretty successful year, getting our volunteers to make a huge pivot with us to tutoring students through the pandemic.
That speaks to dedication and commitment of the volunteers and you all's commitment, AARP Foundation and Experience Corps, to making sure that you are engaged constantly and understand where you do have to pivot when a change comes. And that is very, very important. Now, can you just share the age group that you all focus on and how is a volunteer match to the individual site or to the student, and how is that done?
Sure. So the age of the students that we serve or the grade, I should say, is kindergarten to third grade. And our volunteers actually are given the school sites. We're still adding schools to the sites that we serve. So we give the school sites to the to the volunteers, and they're able to choose their top 3 choices. Oftentimes, of course, people want to serve in their neighborhood. That makes the most sense in many cases. Other people say, it doesn't matter, wherever there's the greatest need, I'll be happy to serve there. And so you get to choose the first 3 choices, and then we will place you at that school based on that, on your choices, and then the need of the program. As far as the students that we serve, our students are tested at the beginning of the year, the middle of the year, and the end of the year by the school. And so we are actually given the names of the students by the teachers, by the actual school, and that's how we assign the students based on the school's need for volunteers. Volunteers do have the option of what grade they would like to work with. if it be the young students, kindergarten, or if you prefer to work with an older child in third grade. So there's definitely some flexibility as far as where you serve and the age of the child that you serve.
Well, that is great, because so often when you volunteer, you want to make sure and understand the process and what you're walking into, right? Because
Absolutely.
sometimes we hear different things about how schools are or the experience that one has with a child. So is the teacher in the classroom with the volunteer, or is the volunteer off by themselves? And then you also mentioned how things were going virtual with the COVID process. So how does that look?
Yeah, so it varies depending on the school. Tutors, if there's a small group tutoring session, the tutor might have a small classroom they're working in, or a small office space. They'll bring two or three students into the tutor individual as a group. And then the other tutoring model is for the one-on-ones, and that can happen anywhere. That might be in the hallway outside of the classroom. It might be in the back corner of the classroom. It might be in the cafeteria. It's wherever the school has a space where there can be, they can guarantee a certain level of privacy and for concentration and focus from the student. Otherwise, you're concerned about students being distracted by their kids throwing airplanes or whatever kids do in the first and second grade in the classroom. But the idea is to make sure that the student can be secluded and focus on the tutoring session.
And if I can mention too, Ms. Layton, that our volunteers are not in the schools alone. We have site coordinators that are also there. They are, in essence, the liaisons between the school and the program. So if ever there is a question, or if a volunteer maybe has a concern about a student, if they're not focused, or whatever the case may be, there is always a site coordinator on site at the school that is a volunteer with our program as well, to assist the volunteers. So they're never alone in that essence.
Oh, that's great. And another thing that you mentioned was the pre, mid, and post assessment that you all do. So it sounds as though you all are really making sure that the student is learning and the volunteer is providing the services that are needed. That is very important, and I'm sure it helps the school also with how better to serve that student. So this is really making a difference all around, and volunteers are very, very much needed. And so I hope those who are hearing this will reach out to you and look and see how they can get involved. So can you share again that process of if they are interested and where it is that they need to go in your website or whatever that is?
Yes, and so I believe the website will be shown on the screen.
Yes.
As far as signing up for an information session, you just want to go to our website. You'll see the different dates that we offer our information sessions. Go ahead and click on that site, or you can certainly call me if you prefer, and that number is 202-434-6495. I believe that will be on the screen as well. And we will sign you up for an information session. After that, we will have you come in for an interview, and then if you're accepted, you will be then assigned to a school and scheduled for training.
All right.
Oh, wow.
All right. So I've asked a few questions. We've heard from the volunteers. Is it anyone else that wish to share some pertinent, important information that you feel will make a difference and have everybody start running to AARP Foundation Experience Corps to make a difference in their community and really in the difference of a child? We often hear how a child who may be behind in class may sometimes be a distraction to the overall class. So with you all bringing this added and needed one-on-one services, or I guess defined or focus volunteer efforts in as far as in literacy. And I do want to stress that this is in literacy, so you all are not doing math. Is that correct?
That's right.
Okay. So volunteers, this is reading and literacy. And so and I know in growing up, they always would share with us that even if you can't travel, and a lot of us who have been stuck at home and in place with COVID, we could always pick up a book and that will take our minds wherever we wish to go. And so can you share a little bit of how engagement looks and some of the different things that you do to engage the students, Miss Renee?
Yes. Um, what we do is we inspire our children to be their best, and they also bring us into their world. Um, we learn about new things, and our normal day is to either go into the classroom or to go virtual and to spend time with our students. They read to us, we read things to them. We are inspired with their questions. They always bring something new to the table. The discussions that we have with our students are so valuable. They read the text numerous times until they finally get it into their head where they can understand what they're reading, and they read more fluently, and they take this out into their classrooms and their families, and they share with others all the things that they've learned with us. And we take home to our families all the things that we've learned with our students. It's just a valuable experience for us all. We all are intrigued by what they're doing and their possibilities and the things that they can do in life. And we get to meet their families even now, and we're inspired, and their families are inspired with us.
That is great. Wow. It's making a big difference. It's making a big, big difference. Just hearing you, I hear your excitement. So I can imagine how the children probably welcome you every day that you walk into that school to see you.
Thank you.
And I heard you also say, even when you see them in the community, how they reach out to you and speak. And we might not understand it, but when we talk about safety and education, when a person knows you and they see you out in the community, it also makes them feel safe as well. So while this focus is on literacy, and then seeing someone that they can relate to when they're out in the community, and it also sometimes will make children be on their better behavior because they know that this person who cares about them, who has tutored them, and who is working with them in school is also in their community. So I want to thank you for all that you're doing to reach the children that you are currently serving. And again, we want more people to be like Miss Renee and to come out and help and make a difference. As we know, during this COVID, some of our children may have lost some seat time or learning time. And so the ability to be able to help them if they have slipped is going to be very, very important. So please, please reach out to Miss Fraction and use the information that is on the screen to see how you can become a volunteer. Are there any other comments or information that anyone else would like to share?
Well, thanks for having us here. It's been a pleasure to talk with you all and your listeners about the program. And I would just add, I mean, this is an incredible time that we're in. I mean, the pandemic has created a unique set of circumstances for the students that we serve, and a lot of our students coming to us now much further behind than they would have been before the pandemic began. So if you're considering volunteering in the past, and you're not sure you're on the fence, now is the time to get engaged. Now is the time to get involved, because right now, the impact you'll have today is multiplied greatly. So thank you.
Yes, that is very important. Ms. Fraction, did you wish to have
I,
any?
I just, echo what Tony has said. We just appreciate folks sharing the information. If it's not something that maybe fits into your schedule, please share it with friends and family. If you have other organizations, as far as churches or groups that you belong to, and you think that this would be something that they need to hear about, I'm happy to come and speak to them as well. We just need committed individuals that don't have to have a PhD in education. What you need to have is a desire to make a difference in the community. You have the ability to do it. We need you. I just ask that you please contact us.
Yes. So please, the information is on the screen. Please reach out and you too can make a difference. So we thank you so much for joining Seniors Uncensored 2.0 today. And we hope that you will share this information with your neighbors, friends, family, and loved ones who are above the age of 50 and let them know that they can make a difference. And all you need to have is a GED. You have to go through the background check and the training. Understand that they will make you feel comfortable before you enter the classroom or work with any child because you will have the necessary training that will have you equipped to enter that classroom and become a superhero to many of these children because you will truly make a difference with your one-on-one or small group interaction with them. So we hope that you will remember AARP Foundation and Experience Corps and seek to become a volunteer. Thank you so much for joining us. Have a great day.